Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. Just talked with Brad Patassi, native Providence resident who's out in Arizona, is an incident management expert and has fought wildfires across the country, giving us a take about what's going on in California, his perspective on what it takes to fight fire. So we appreciate Brad Skyping in, and I'm sure we'll talk with him soon. We do now have our next guest here in studio. We're going to get a little more local here. Bob Burke with Pot-a-Foot is around the corner. Thank you for coming in today, Bob.
Hi, Kate.
I love how you come with wine.
Well, Rick Simone always makes me come with wine, so I just figured I may as well bring wine for you. A little of our Beaujolais Nouveau, the first wine of the new harvest.
Fantastique.
And still drinking beautifully.
Magnifique, merci.
You came so many times to our Beaujolais party. We always had a lot of fun.
Back in my youth.
I missed you this year.
Well,
you could have dragged the old man down.
I'm glad. How is this year's Beaujolais?
It's really great. 13% alcohol.
Ooh,
really beefed it up. Made it. Yeah, George DeBoeuf decided that Americans are ready for a strong wine, so he made a really great one.
Well, I wanted you to come in today to
Yeah.
offer your perspective. You've been around downtown for so long, between Federal Reserve and Pot-a-Foot, and the latest developments that we've heard over sort of the past 24 hours, the potential. We're going to turn the camera around one of these days. We are in the shadow of the Superman building, the Industrial Bank building. Plans put forth by Palina Properties and Gilbane to Hasbro. If Hasbro were looking to relocate its headquarters here downtown to tear down the building and put up a big gleaming skyscraper, we have those renderings on GoLocal. Now again, proposal phase. What was your reaction when you heard this?
Well, I think it's a great idea. Love having Hasbro downtown. That's super. The next thing that we should think about, though, is we have that big empty hole in the ground that was going to be 110 Westminster, which was going to be luxury condominiums and a W hotel. And there's been $17 million worth of work that was done on that ground. All the work was done for the engineering. The demolition is already done. So my question would be, wouldn't it be more profitable to put that tower, 110 Westminster was going to be a 40-story tower, why don't we put that tower on the vacant land, leave the Superman building, and then once that gleaming new tower is built, you know what we're going to have? All kinds of workers who would love to live in a really cool, hip space like the Superman building. So what we could do is convert the Superman then into microlofts and little residences and make it one of the coolest residential buildings in the whole country.
So your thought is, if you build it, they will come, but build it on 110, not at 111, which is the Superman building, because it's been years now. We've heard from the Save Superman campaign. I mean, why have they not been able to make it work so far, in your opinion?
Because the owner isn't really interested in developing the building. He wants a state bailout. So, he's playing a different game than a normal real estate developer does. And he's trying to get the people of Rhode Island to throw 40 or 50 million bucks in his pocket after he made a bad real estate decision. Nobody buys a building with 4 years left on the lease and only one tenant in the building, not knowing whether or not they're going to stay or go. So they decided to go. Real estate 101, you wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Kate wouldn't do that. Nobody would do that, but he did that. And then he said, I came up a big loser. Oh, state of Rhode Island, bail me out. No bailout for the Superman building. Let him sell it off for dirt. Let somebody else's money come in, make it really wonderful, make it great. And this is just the thing we need to make that happen. So let's not tear it down. Let's not kryptonite Superman. Keep Superman flying high. He's such a symbol of our state. Let's do that.
Why do I feel like you've used this line so far?
I haven't even talked to anybody about this.
The kryptonite line is just new. We've just heard it first. Okay. Well, I've been in the Superman building. You've been in the building, and so
I had an office in there on the 18th floor for years.
You know the building.
It's a
you know
great
the
building.
And people talk about the bones and sort of, some maybe HVAC difficulties, but they looked at it for apartments. They said, this is how we can make it work with some mixed use, because we've seen reaction from folks saying, well, why couldn't Hasbro come in and gut it for those purposes? Could it be retrofitted for office use, or is it the only way it can be retrofitted is for microlofts?
Yeah, it's good for residences, small spaces, because it's a rabbit warren. It's got tons of little tiny zigs, zags, ins, outs. It is so not the building that any corporation should be looking at. It's not a corporate building anymore. Corporations today want big, wide, open spaces, places where you can skateboard across the floor and have all these, meetings, at the spur of a moment, gatherings and happenings. And you can't do that in that old style, corner office sort of floor plan. But you can do that in a brand new building, which should be right across the street. And maybe we should put like a sky bridge from the new building to the Superman building right over to the blimp cabin, where we can all go hang out. And anybody who doesn't know about the blimp cabin, take a look at it. We'll put it up on GoLocal after this.
Would love to.
But that building was built so that you could dock a blimp.
I know, there was the Zeppelin landing pad.
Yes.
So there's a cabin.
There's
that you've been in.
Oh yeah, waiting station, has a bar, beautiful oak. It had leather on the walls. It was really amazing. And then it opens out, and there's a whole railed off area so that they could tie up the Zeppelin. People could get off. The new people could get on. It's a brilliant idea because you go right to the center of a city, and all of the lift. So much of the fuel in aviation is used for lift. Great thing about the Zeppelins is all you use fuel for is to push it forward. It takes a fraction of what it takes. So it's a great method of transportation. Empire State Building, built the same year as the Superman building, has a blimp docking station also.
So you've seen so many comings and goings here downtown Providence, so many iterations of buildings, new buildings, old buildings. We're looking out at the new road finally completed here. You're right around the corner with Patafa. If you build it, they will come. Let's talk a little bit about the difficulties restaurants face in the wintertime with inclement weather, with forecasts that might not come to fruition.
Sure. Well, it's a big issue, and it's an economic issue. The state of Rhode Island's economy every day produces about $150 million. So that means that on a snow day, we might lose 50 or $100 million in activity because basically we close our state every time it snows. If you do that 10 times a year, that's over $1 billion in economic activity that is lost to the people of Rhode Island. Think about this. If you're an hourly wage earner and you don't get those hours, no one's telling you to come in and work from midnight to 6 a.m. because you're simply not going to get paid for the hours that are lost because our state does a bad job of plowing its streets. So what we need to do is change the approach that we've got. We need to pay for plowing. We need to guarantee that people are not going to be locked in their homes. This line I have used a lot of times. I call it the government's home confinement program, where they imprison 1 million people every time it begins to snow. This is not a way to keep your economy going. Here's a good example. City of Providence. The meals tax. You all pay meals tax when you go to a restaurant. You see that 1%. That goes straight to the city or town the restaurant's located in. Last year, the city of Providence earned over $5 million in meals tax. Guess how much the plowing budget is in the city of Providence? $1.8 million. So if you were getting 1% of every martini, every steak, everything that's served on every table in every restaurant in the city, wouldn't you send the plows out to those streets and say to people, we have a priority plowing program here in Providence?
Priority plowing program here in Providence.
Say that 3 times fast after 8. But here's the idea. Why don't we say we're going to plow out? If your street has a restaurant or a theater on it, we're going to plow those first. And we're going to say to everybody in southern New England, we guarantee you that Thayer, Wickenden, Atwells, Washington, Westminster, Way-Bosset, all the streets that have these concentrations of restaurants and theaters, why don't we say we're going to plow them on a priority basis? First the fire stations and the hospitals. After that, we're coming down to where people can come out, and we're going to guarantee that Providence stays open in the snow. Let's do it.
So that's an interesting perspective, because a lot of times we hear restaurants say, oh, the news or the media, a lot of times there's a balance of that storm height, but then making sure people are safe. But you're saying the impetus is really on the city, once snow has fallen, to make sure that roads are clean, that people know that they can in fact come out, that they're not going to be faced with big obstacles if they want to be able to come out, and especially in weekends. I mean, to see a storm over the weekend and have everyone holed up at home, and Well, but this one wasn't a storm.
This happens every December. I can show you pictures that I have, because I take a ruler at 11 o'clock at night, and I snap a picture, and I posted it to Facebook, and I snapped a picture of how much snow. It didn't even reach an inch. Think of all of the businesses that closed on Saturday. Think of the hourly workers who've got less money for Christmas this year. And the reason that is because we all react. It's not, I don't want to just blame the meteorologists. We all have a role to play. We all need to get tires that aren't bald. We need to put snow tires on. We need to have a shovel in the car and some kitty litter in case we get stuck. You need to be willing to get out of the car and help push somebody who's stuck rather than sitting there blowing the horn at them. Okay? If we all adopted some of these ideas that we'll help each other, we'll be kind to each other in the snow, we'll work to make it happen. The city and state comes together to make sure that there's, salt out there on the roads. We can all do this. Remember that the people in this state who need the most help, there are 504,000 workers in the state of Rhode Island. 50% of them are hourly wage earners. When you deprive them of that, they have trouble paying rent. February is the worst month. There's kids who are eating cereal for the last week because their parents are losing their hourly wages because we don't do a good job of snow removal.
The Providence
We can do
Priority
better.
Plowing Program.
That's right, and we can do better, and we can do better for the people who need it the most. That's the key, because the hourly wage earners are in the bottom half of the earnings also. So let's do this. It's the right thing to do.
The right thing to do. Well, wanted to have you in, Bob, because I'd seen you opined on the potential for the Superman building. As Bob said, not 111, 110 Westminster would be
Yes.
your
Great
plan
spot.
if you could.
Great
The empty
spot.
parking lot right down the street. But Bob Burke, you can find him at Pot au Feu. He just brought me in a nice bottle of Beaujolais Nouveau, which I would like to say thank you for. And we'll have you back in soon because, again, you've got your finger on the pulse of downtown Providence, and we appreciate your coming in.
Thank you,
Bob
Kate.
Burke, I'll let you go around the corner.
Always a
Okay,
pleasure.
take care.